So you've made it this far. Not bad, viewer, but I'm not letting anyone leave my channel. Everyone's gonna subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm of course Stevie B, and today in this video we're gonna be talking about the Netflix Resident Evil series. It's been officially announced at Netflix. We've known about it for a while, right? There's always been kind of leaks and stuff, and but they put something out on the social media that they're making it. They said they're making it. They said how long the episode is going to be, and they gave us a little bit of a brief plot synopsis, which got mixed reactions online, to say the least, to keep it mild. So let's talk about all that, and then I'll give my thoughts on it and where my headspace is going forward. All right, so first off, it's confirmed. It's going to be 8 episodes long, 2 different timelines, one set now and one set in kind of a dystopian future. But we'll kind of get to all that in a second. Let's first talk about the Netflix Twitter announcement. That's where I first saw it, right? Was Twitter. So let's pop it up right here. Okay. So this was the first thing that we all saw as fans, right? This is what we got. And I'll be the first to admit my reaction wasn't the best when I first saw this, right? So let's talk about this real quick. When the Wesker kids moved to New Raccoon City, the secrets they uncover might just be the end of everything. Resident Evil, a new live action series based on Capcom's legendary survival horror franchise, is coming to Netflix. So like, this is the first thing I saw. And when you see something like the Wesker kids, instantly everybody went to teen drama, right? Like that's where everybody's head's at. Even though that's not confirmed at all, but it's Netflix, and so people are like, oh, they're turning this Resident Evil franchise into a teen drama, and I don't necessarily agree with that. We don't know enough about it to kind of make that assumption yet, but I get why people would kind of deviate in that direction. But I'm gonna hold it up and be optimist. I'm gonna be an optimist and hope that that's not the case. Now, New Raccoon City does kind of give confirmation that there's an old Raccoon City, right? So there's some semblance to the game series here, which again helps my optimism a little bit. Like, we're not going to ignore the Raccoon City incident. It's going to be a thing. You've had enough time now to rebuild the city since the incident. Is this going to be taking place like where the city was and built on top of it, or are they just kind of recreate it? That's very intriguing to me. What exactly the implications of New Raccoon City is. So over here on Variety, we do get a little bit more information on the series. We talked about it earlier. It's going to be an 8-episode order, 1 hour each. Constantine Films is producing it, the same people that produced the 6-film franchise. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything that it's going to be like the movies. So a lot of people kind of cling to that a little bit, but I wouldn't worry about that being a factor in whether the show is going to be good or not. Andrew Dabb will serve as writer, executive producer, and showrunner. Dabb most recently served as showrunner on multiple seasons of the hit series Supernatural. Now, I personally have never seen Supernatural. I know a couple of people who have and really, really enjoyed the show. So hopefully Andrew Dabb can do us a little bit of justice when it comes to the Resident Evil franchise. Let's see, he enjoys it, right? Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time, Dabb said. I'm incredibly excited to tell a new chapter in the amazing story and bring the first ever Resident Evil series to Netflix members around the world. For every type of Resident Evil fan, including those joining us for the first time, the series will be complete with a lot of old friends and some things bloodthirsty, insane things people have never seen before. So that's a lot. That's kind of a lot to unpack, right? The 2 things that stand out to me are new creatures, which I'm fine with, right? Like, if you want to kind of make your own creature for your series, like we get new creatures all the time, right? You can't be okay with Resident Evil 7 molded, and then when the Resident Evil series comes out on Netflix and not be okay with them creating like a new kind of bioweapon for their series, right? It's kind of par for the course with when you do things like this, so that's fine. But we'll be complete with a lot of old friends, so I really, really hope this means that we're gonna get some of the characters we know and love from the franchise in this series. And we'll talk about the two timelines ahead. My guess is that we may see some people in the future timeline that mean a lot to us as fans, right? So let's discuss the timelines, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit, right? The story of the series will unfold across two timelines. In the first timeline, 14-year-old sister Jade and Billy Wesker are moved to New Raccoon City, a manufacturer corporate town, forcing them right as adolescence is in full swing. But the more time they spend there, the more they come to realize that the town is more than it seems, and their father may be concealing dark secrets that could destroy the world. So I want to talk about the father aspect. Like, there's random confirmations out there that Albert Wesker is the father, but like, that's not really confirmed here and anything official that I know of. Please correct me in the comments if it has been, because from what I understand, that Albert Wesker might not actually be their father. Like, it might be a Wesker, and that is kind of important to us as fans, because Albert Wesker is such a pivotal character in the series, and for it to be changed so drastically into kind of like an old man that's a scientist. You know, Wesker obviously was a scientist, but to make him like an old man and a great dad, and, you know, I don't know if he'll be a great dad, but you know what I mean? This kind of, if it is Albert Wesker, I think it'll be hard for us to kind of distinguish between the two versions that we get, because even the Anderson verse Wesker is very similar to his video game counterpart. You know, the final chapter aside. Okay. The final chapter aside. So I think that would be the hardest as us for fans, is for them to be like, hey, here's Albert Wesker, not your Albert Wesker, a much different one, deal with it. When I would have personally just, here's a new character we made for this series, right? Yeah. I don't like necessarily like taking a name and just kind of butchering it. You know, that happened a lot on the Anderson verse movies. I would much rather have an original character than to have a character that I know kind of twisted and turned into something a lot different than what I'm used to. So, but let's just say that it's not Albert Wesker. Like, the idea of more Weskers being out there isn't unheard of in this series. You know, there's a lot of talk about these people being, and again, you know, the whole rumor thing, but there's a lot of talk about them being important, bloodline wise and things like that. So the fact that like the Wesker children are a thing in the series and experimented on doesn't mean that there can't be some kind of semblance of it left here, right? Jake Mueller, and that's a fair thing to bring up. But I honestly think that if these kids are part of the Wesker program, or if the dad is Albert Wesker, we're not going to hear anything about Jake. I think they're just going to kind of ignore that character entirely. So let's talk about the second timeline, right? So in the second timeline, well over a decade in the future, there are less than 15 million people left on Earth and more than 6 billion monsters, people and animals infected with the T-virus. Jade, now 30, struggles to survive in this new world, while the secrets from her past about her sister, her father, and herself continue to haunt her. I actually like this because it's an aspect of the games that they haven't, you know, gone with, and probably aren't going to go with for a long, you know, or maybe ever. And so I think that's a good way for kind of like a parallel universe series to go. The only thing is that you can only tell so much story in a timeline that's not the apocalypse. So is this just going to be an 8-episode thing, or are we going to keep going further into the future and then just have the apocalypse? You know, so that's interesting. And you know, the secrets of her sister and her father and things like that, that again kind of points towards like experimentation with Umbrella and things like that. Doesn't confirm that her father's Albert Wesker, or is Albert himself. No, but it does confirm sort of like, you know, virus tampering amongst their DNA, you know, so that's pretty good. And I think that this is where we'll see characters that we know. You might see Chris Redfield roll up, or Leon Kennedy roll up, or something like that, right? Or Claire. or Jill. Ooh, I would love Jill. Obviously, Jill Valentine, my favorite character. I just, I thought, that's one of the characters that I really enjoyed watching in the Anderson verse. I thought they got her character, even though she kind of played second fiddle to Alice, which we won't talk about. I do like their interpretation of her in the Anderson verse. So I'll be excited to see what she's like in this. So again, I think that's where we'll see some of our favorite characters. If they do show up, there's kind of like there's a hint above of them showing up. So hopefully that happens. The rest of the article just kind of talks about who's directing and producing and all that stuff. So that's all we really get from that story wise. So I know that the series isn't really what any of us expected or wanted. I think the problem is we kind of sit in the place where we sat at for like, the new Star Wars movies and stuff. Like we kind of had all this headcanon of what we thought the series was going to be, and now it's not. And so we're kind of, everybody just kind of like, why? We all kind of have that why. It could be this, it could be that. I could sit here on this video and list off 10 things that I would like to see in a live action series. But this is kind of what we have to work with. And I kind of want to put out in the fandom, and I know I put out a tweet that was it wasn't like super negative. It was more disappointed than negative when this first got announced. But I think we just kind of need to stay positive as a fandom and kind of wait for a trailer, wait to see anything from this, right? Like who gets cast and judge it for what it is and not what we think it might be. Like again, I know that's really hard for all of us to do, right? It's really hard for all of us to do, because a lot of us want a retelling or a live action version of the Mansion incident, or before it, and there's, on Reddit I've seen some great stuff that people put together, like what episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 can be, ending with the end of the Mansion incident, things like that, and I get that, and I totally do. My personal thing, what I would love to see, is like the outbreak from perspective of regular citizens, not necessarily our main cast, and kind of following around, like Outbreak, right? I don't necessarily want to see, it would be amazing to have the Outbreak of characters in a show, but like just characters like the Outbreak characters, and kind of from their point of view, the whole outbreak and things like that. But that's just me, right? And so I think everybody has that, right? Everybody has their own dream show or dream movie, right? What they really want to see, and when we see this and when we don't get it, it wrecks us, right? We're just like, why is this happening? And I get that. I totally understand what you're saying. The only thing that I'm going to ask is that we try to stay positive, right? Until we see something. I know we're reading these things and we're like, but let's wait till we see something and we get to experience it the way they want us to, not from like words written on, Twitter or an article. And I know that's really hard. Like I said, it's really hard for all of us to do. But let's try to stay positive as a fandom and keep it together. Okay. Look, I'm right there with you. I like to make these videos like we're sitting across from each other. And I get it. I'm right there with you, right? It's not what I wanted from the show. But it's what we're getting, and we just gotta hope it's good. We all just gotta hope it's good. And I got my fingers crossed that we're gonna see something good. Like the Anderson movies, right? Like, I recognize fully that they're not that good of movies, but I enjoy them for what they are. And hopefully it doesn't ruin my credibility with all of you, because I do enjoy most of the Anderson movies. The final chapter was just kind of really rough. But oh man, so I just thinking back on the plot in my head, and it's just like, man. But I do enjoy them for what they are, right? Every once in a while I go back and watch them. So hopefully people are watching our reaction. Hopefully people are seeing what we're saying on Twitter or we're saying on Reddit, and they take that into account for what they produce. So let's just try to stay positive. We got this. I have faith in all of you. Okay, so don't forget, I'm on Twitter at CVB5986. I stream with my friends almost daily over twitch.tv/nerdstheapocalypse. If you didn't catch that, it is linked in the description. And yeah, so come hang out with me on Twitter. Our Discord is linked there too. Let's comment below. Let's have a discussion about this. I try to reply to everybody, right? Do you think that my optimism is too much? Do you think that I'm giving it all? Like I got retweeted. Actually, my tweet that I put out, that was my disappointing tweet, got retweeted by someone. Was like, look at this fake fan, because I put the hashtag REBH fun thing in there because I like being a Resident Evil ambassador. Like, I'm sorry that I like that, and I'm not gonna put out something that's criticizing things I love. Like, I want them to be able to see it and see my initial reaction to it, right? But I don't know. I got like, look, pretty much called me a fake fan. It's like, take a look around. Like, that's the least of what I am. I want everything to be good, and I want us all to enjoy it. So let's have a discussion in the comments. Am I being too optimistic? Are you not even gonna try to watch it? You know, Netflix has been in some hot water lately that I don't, so I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Let's have a discussion in the comments. Let me know what you think, and please don't forget, no matter how you feel about this series, you're all stars to me. I love you.